Hello dear student, welcome to you all in English class 8, poem 4, The Last Bargain, poet Rabindranath Tagore. We will study stanza and their explanation of the poem. So first we will discuss about the poet. So about the poet Rabindranath Tagore. He was born May 7, 1861 and died August 7, 1941 in Calcutta. He was Bengali poet, short story writer, song composer, playwright, essayist and painter. He introduced new prose and verses forms and the use of colloquial language into Bengali literature. He was highly influential in introducing Indian culture to the West and vice versa. He is generally regarded as the outstanding creative artist of early 20th century in India. In 1913, he became the first non-European to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature. So, Rabindranath Tagore was the first Indian writer who received Nobel Prize for Literature. So, this information about the poet. So, now we will start poem. So, first the introduction of the poem. In this poem, the poet represents a laborer, a worker who wanted to be hired himself. At first, he met a king and the king offered him his power to hire him, but he refused. Then he met a very rich man, wealthy man. He wanted to hire him by his wealth, but again the laborer or the worker did not accept that proposal. Then he met a princess, a beautiful princess. She wanted to hire him for his beauty and his smile. Again he refused to her. Then at last he met an innocent child who was playing and he offered him to hire him, but he is not ready to give him anything. But the man accepted that proposal because the man wanted to retain his freedom. The man is loving his freedom more than power, beauty, smile and wealth. That's why he accepted the proposal of an innocent child and he started to playing with him and he retained his freedom also. So this is the summary of this poem. Now we will go through stanza and the stanza wise explanation. So dear student, let's start stanza first. In stanza first I'll read. Come and hire me, I cried, while in the morning I was walking on the stone paved road. Sword in the hand, the king came in his chariot. He held my hand and said, I will hire you with my power. But his power counted for naught and he went away in his chariot. So, dear student, first I'll tell you the meaning of some new words in this stanza. This is stanza, hire. Hire means that to make a promise with someone to do his work in return of some money or something else. So this agreement between two people is known as the hire. So then stone paved. Stone paved means the road which are made up of stones only. Then chariot, the king's vehicle which having the horses like that. And then counted for naught. Counted for naught means not important or not worthwhile. Okay. Now explanation of the poem. Early in the morning, the one man was a worker. He wants to be hired himself, and he went out from his home and he cried loudly on the stone paved road, hired me, hired me. Then from other side, one king was coming, who was going in his chariot, saw him. The king stopped and offered the man. He offering his power. He said, I will give you my power to you, but I want to hire you. The person, the man or the worker listened the offer very carefully, and then he did not accept that power because he thought that this power is not important for me. My freedom, my liberty is more important than the king's power. So he refused the offer of the king, and then he went on his way. And king also went on his way. Now second stanza. In the heat of the midday, the houses stood with shut doors. I wandered along the crooked lane. An old man came out with his bag of gold. He pondered and said, I will hire you with my money. He weighed his coins one by one, but I turned away. I hear the labor or the worker. In second stanza, the poet said, the labor, after refusing the king's proposal, he went on his way. In that time, it was afternoon, and it's a very hot afternoon. He was passing through the crooked lanes and shouting there, hired me, hired me. Most of the houses were with shut doors. I wandered along the crooked lane. He was wandering along the crooked lane. And then he was asking there again, he hired me. So one old man came outside with the gold coins bag, and he asked him, I wanted to hire you. And then he started to counting coins for giving to the man. He pondered before offering him, but he offered the man this labor also, thinking that if I accept this offer, so my freedom will not be retained and I will lose my freedom. So he refused that old man's proposal also, or his offer also, and he said, I don't want to be hired. So then he went on his way. So this way he did not accept that old man offer because he thought that that's gold coins not important for me, that gold coins cannot attract him. So now in second stanza, the difficult words, ponder, it means that thinking, and row means moving here and there. Okay? And crooked lane means the lanes which are very zigzag, not straight. Okay, so I hope the second stanza's explanation you understood. Now we'll go for third stanza. Now stanza 3. It was evening, the garden hedge was all aflower. The fair maid came out and said, I will hire you with a smile. Her smile paled and melted into tears, and she went back alone into the dark. So in third stanza, the new words, hedge means that fence, the garden which having fence around it, the fencing. Aflower means it is full of flowers, different kinds of flowers are there. Fair maid here means princess. Smile pale and melted. Pale and melted means that faded and disappeared very immediately. And then back into the dark. Okay, now explanation. So after the crooked lanes, then he again start his journey, and then in the evening he reached near one palace. That palace having one garden, beautiful garden, and that garden was completely covered with the fences, hedge, and that hedge was full of flowers. So there he stood, the worker stood, and again cried there, hired me, hired me. Then one princess came out, one maid came out, she was very beautiful, and she called him and said, I wanted to hire you. So, but in return, I can give you a beautiful smile. So, as soon as she offered these things to the man, immediately she started to cry. Means all her smile and beauty faded away, and she started to shedding the tears. So the man, the worker, understood that her smile and her beauty is not permanent, it's a very temporary, and means I cannot maintain my freedom here. That's why again he refused that offer also, and then he go on his way again. Now stanza 4. Stanza 4. The sun glistened on the sand, and the sea waves broke waywardly. A child sat playing with shells. He raised his head and seems to know me and said, I hire you with nothing. From henceforward, that bargain stuck in child's play made me a freeman. As some new words in this stanza. New words, glistened. Glistened means that shining. Glistened on the sand means shining the sand. Sea waves broke waywardly. Waywardly means willfully. Whatever our will, we are doing the work as per our will. That is called waywardly. Then without nothing, henceforward. Your in last two lines, henceforward. Henceforward means from that day, from onwards. Bargain stuck. Bargain stuck means the deal final. Now the deal final. The child's will made me freeman. As earlier in the summary I told you, this man or this level, he wanted to retain his freedom along with the work. So his priority to maintain his freedom as compared to power, beauty and wealth or the richness. So in this stanza, the poet said that how he met one child and how his bargain completed and how he retained his freedom also. So let's we study or read the explanation of fourth stanza. In fourth stanza, now in evening the man reached on a seashore. There the evening sun was shining on the sand. The sea waves were breaking on the shore willfully. When he reached there, the sun was shining or the sun was setting, but the last moment, the rays of the sun, it was shining on the sand of the shore, and the waves very slowly come to the shore, and this way the very beautiful scene was there, and he reached there. There was a child playing with his shells. There he saw an innocent child was playing with his shells. He lifted his head and looked at the man. When the man reached there, he lifted his head and looked at the head. He seems to understand him without his crying, "He hired me." It seemed that the child understood why the man came here. He offered to hire the man without payment. That small child or that innocent child offered the man, I wanted to hire you, but I didn't have anything to give you. I don't have any gold, power, beauty or anything that which or that can I offer you. So the man accepted. Man accepted the offer of the child, and he understood, if I accept this offer, so I can retain my freedom also, and I can get the job also. So the man accepted the offer, and from then onwards he played with the child. So he accepted the child's offer, and then he started to playing with him, and this way he retained his freedom also and his bargain also, or his that bargain also completed. In doing so, the man remained free. So this way he maintained his freedom also, and then he started to playing with the child. So I hope you understood this fourth stanza and its explanation. So, finally, the poet Rabindranath Tagore wanted to say in this poem that freedom is more important than the power, the wealth, or the beauty, the smile, whatever. So, because it's all the things that are vanished, that are disappeared after some time, but the freedom, the real freedom, and the peace of mind never vanished, never gone away. So, student, I hope you understood this explanation of poem The Last Bargain.